telling Dan, like, I want to get these on a real computer so I can use Paint and I can like draw things, explain things better.
Yeah.
Like Plato's Cave. Did you ever watch that video I sent, John, about Plato's Cave?
Oh yeah, dude. I never replied because I was I think I was pretty drunk that night. I was at the end of the night, and I was like, I watched the video, and I'm like, I can't make sense of this shit right now.
I was before prior
like,
to talking to you guys, John. I was telling Craig I did a paper on I compared Plato's Cave to Sonny's Blues,
cool.
I like the way I did it, and my teacher I got a good grade, but now I can't find it, but I remember most of it. But that's what was a catalyst for him showing me that video.
Oh really?
Yeah. But I did it for I had this FIU lit class that was taught by this really awesome Puerto Rican dude.
You went to FIU? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I graduated from FIU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I went there for a semester. Just one semester.
That's one semester.
Yeah. I really wanted to go there because the poets there I loved, especially back in the day, Camel McGrath and Denise DeHamel. And Julie Wade is like my fucking shit, dude.
Yeah.
I took her that semester. She was really good.
I didn't take Julie Wade. I took Professor Grafals. I took who else did I take? This older teacher he was like 80 years old. Such a cool guy. He actually wrote the Norton criticisms for a picture of Dorian Gray. He actually wrote the Norton the introduction and everything else. So he was big on Irish lit. And it's super funny, real dry. he was teaching the Brontes, and he's like, "Oh, it's part of the semester. I teach all the Brontes, and don't worry, I hate them all equally." I was like, "That's a funny thing to say."
It's lovely. It's lovely. Yeah, all my teachers there were fucking brilliant, man.
Yeah, and then what's his name there? The what is it? The honorary Victor. What do you call that? The batch, the poem. What do you call that? The poet for the national poet.
Poet laureate.
Yeah. Who is? And he goes Richard Blanco.
Oh,
yeah. He teaches there.
FIU is
FIU. Yeah. He
cool.
teaches. Yeah, Stevie went there, and she convinced me to go. So that's why I graduated from there. I traveled just one day a week. I took mostly online, but I went to campus one day a week, and felt
it was smart of her to skip certain other schools.
yeah, we won't go into that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was getting pressured by, they were like, you should go here. It was fun. You'll get a lot more out of it. It's more of a university feel. And then they have a lot of their, they have their gossamer on all things Miami, in terms of like the literature events, and of course the Miami Book Fair and things like that. So
book poetry festival. They have a little like week where they cordon off this block and they just have poetry readings. I mean, it's just a cultural hubbub, dude.
I think so. I don't speak Spanish, so that kind of shot myself in the foot. Yeah, but it was like I wanted like I felt like all their classes reflected the cult, like how culturally rich the area is in terms of Spanish, Cuban, exile studies, things like that. So, anyways.
Well, I mean, my whole thing this past year has been like trying to find new writers, trying to explore new writers. I mean, I'm glad that every once in a while we go back to Baldwin and Dostoevsky. Next week we're doing Dostoevsky, John. 35.
That's what I'm saying. Hemingway, Baldwin, Dostoevsky.
Those upcoming writers. We like
we do.
Well, I was saying like not necessarily up and coming, but like I wanted to.
This is my fault too. So
I wanted to explore Borges, which we did about a month ago.
Yeah.
I wanted to explore. There's this Middle Eastern Pakistani writer that I'm really into. Who wrote Long Ago Yesterday, which will be my that'll be my pick whenever it's my turn again. Is Long Ago Yesterday, dude. This guy meets his dead father at a bar. You just get really weird fucking plots that you
Sounds
don't
good.
get in American literature too often, especially in classic literature.
Yeah.
We need to
But
get some poetry up in here too soon.
yeah, maybe I should take a break
I forgot how long this fucking story was, dude,
this
when I read
story
it.
is fucking 25 pages long, and Dostoevsky's a
It's a
nasty
damn
story.
book.
I'm
35.
sorry. I tell Craig about the story, and he's
Dude.
like, "Okay, just do it." And
You
I'm
said
like,
35.
but no, a nasty story is long. It is long. It's like
It's all a scene, though. It's all one big scene. It's fucking
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Well, 2 scenes.
Right.
They got that one in the beginning.
I mean, dude, the first 150 pages of Crime and Punishment.
Yeah, it's all one
I've
scene.
read that so many times, but after
Yeah.
that part, it's like it doesn't. It's not as vibrant. Doesn't move as fast, and I always fall off.
Yeah.
Doesn't help that book is like what 600 pages long.
Well, let's talk about Sonny's Blues, man. I mean, this is, if I were going to say that there were one quintessentially American short story, it would have to be Sonny's Blues, right? Like,
Hell yeah.
every university at every state college, every like intro to lit class, you got to throw Baldwin's Sonny's Blues on there. Something about this story is transcendent. I think it's better than anything else he wrote that I've read.
I was gonna ask you, Craig. Have you ever or Dan?
Dan's read more Baldwin than I have.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, this Baldwin's such a, his canon, his output of stuff is, blends between essays and short stories and novels. I loved Giovanni's Room. I know Craig wasn't really fond of it, but I really liked it. I thought it was super subtle, especially the kind of writing. It was a gay man that was finding himself and going to France, which is kind of reminiscent of his movements and his later in his career going to France. Some beautiful
That's
lines.
his novel, right?
Yeah, that's his novel. And then from Beale Street to, what was it? Beale, something about Beale Street. I gotta look it up right now, so I'm prepared.
That's the definition of not being prepared, sir.
I know, right? I should. I didn't know you guys were going to tell all these questions, ask all these questions. If Beale Street could talk, I love that. That was a beautiful novel, and that was put out in '74, and that was there was a great adaptation that was recent that was put out. That's about this families dealing with people in jail and how to handle a situation and then how color racism kind of handling something within the bounds of the law, but also realizing that the law is not really representing you in the best light, so you have to make choices. That's a beautiful story.
So my question would be like, what makes this story so special? And like both of your guys' eyes, like Craig, I know Craig thinks this is his best. I'm not sure what you think yet, but I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't like to, like I said, I get away from, once I start tearing stuff, it makes me like shut down as a critical thinker, and I can't look at any other story.
Right.
But there is something magical about Sonny's Blues that is undeniable. I think it's not even about. I have to remind myself that these characters are black, because I feel like just the situation is doesn't matter what race it is. I think it's a situation that I've seen play out, and I'm sure you've seen play out in people's lives, maybe your own lives.
Dude, that scene when they're talking to each other at the end, man.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I like that's like, I mean, I agree with Craig. Like there's something. I felt like a lot of his work is geared towards the maybe the black plight is such a forefront, especially in those novels. But in this story in particular, it kind of it's very universal. You just have two people in
Yeah.
different paths, and then trying to figure out, uh,
It's
how
so personal. The story is just
very.
so personal. It's human, but it like the oppression is there. It's like
Hmm.
there's a great metaphor for it when he's describing being a kid and all the adults talking and they're like
Mm,
being quiet about like the problem in the world, and like they don't want to expose the kids too young or too early to that. Um,
yeah,
and it's kind of always like there, like it comes back, but it's just this poem. I almost said this poem. I did say
yeah. I
poem.
was gonna
Like
ask you.
this story is a
Do you,
poem,
but
but
do you feel like, what in what ways? I mean, you're from the poetry background. Do you feel like the story is like super poetic?
I mean, from the most basic, like just defining a poem is really hard because a poem can be pretty much anything. So, like
Yeah.
calling this a poem would be kind of crazy a little bit, but not too crazy because from the first like couple paragraphs, it's just so rich in imagery and
Yeah.
like the thing that strikes me the most though, and I know this is like cliche poetry stuff, but it's like it's just so emotional. There's so much love in this damn thing, and it's like it just feels so real. The love he has for his brother, and it's kind of I was kind of like skimming through it a little bit again today. It's
Mm,
there from the very beginning.
yeah.
Like his kind of bitterness or like distance. He's like he loves his brother so much, and he knows he's struggling so much that he can't like it can't. He's not real to him. He has to like put him at a distance. Otherwise, he could really like become hurt. That kind of love is right there,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like, does that make it a poem? Not really. It's just very poetic, I'd say. The language, and that was kind of like the big thing that strikes me every time I reread this thing.
Yeah.
Is how like beautifully poetic the language is. In the second paragraph, a great block of ice got settled in my belly and kept melting there slowly all day long while I taught my classes algebra. It was a special kind of ice. It kept melting, sending trickles of ice water all up and down my veins, but it never got less. He's using like a figure of speech to describe this like onset of grief or
Mm,
dread, with his
yeah.
brother. And I think like anybody, it's not. I don't think it's just about brothers in the sense that if you've ever loved anybody who's had an addiction, that's the
Mm,
feeling. It's kind of silly when I don't know. It's just so on point, man.
yeah.
Um, I would like to know what y'all think of how the like as fiction people. How do you think of this? The way it's written, like I know Craig's kind of has a foot in both worlds a little bit, but
Um. Well, Craig, you want to go on that one,
yeah,
Craig?
you there,
I
man?
mean, it's written with so much passion and so much fire, and it's so um, it's real. I mean, it goes back to like the most basic part of writing, which is that you write about people you love. This is a story about two characters. There's a cast of characters like on the sidelines, but they're so secondary that they almost like the only one you really hear from is the mother. That's the only conversation that really takes place in the bum. In the first scene, the bum's not even given a name. Nor is the narrator, nor is the mother. It's really just a story about Sonny, how complicated it is to love an addict and to love somebody who has absconded your way of life, and the pitfalls of a life that's totally ordered and a life that's totally chaos. Sonny's chosen chaos, the narrator's chosen order. And it's hard to um to read this and not see like the pain that most people feel, that I definitely felt, having a brother who was an addict and trying to reason with them and trying to get to understand them. This story's even made more complicated, I think, by the fact that Sonny isn't just an addict, he's also this great musician, and he's not like the bum. in the first scene. He's somebody that uh, is actually capable of doing things that the narrator can't. Of creating music. So if you think about it, like the story in so many ways is a really simple one. The brothers fall apart. The narrator's daughter dies, and they reconcile. And Sonny takes his brother to a jazz session at a local bar, right? A local nightclub. And that's really like if there was no flashbacks, that would have been the plot. But in the middle of the story, you go through a flashback
Father.
via the mom's story about the father and the father's brother. And it's also it's not
Such a good story. Such a good nested
it dude,
story.
it's so good.
Yeah.
The mother is such a complicated character. And really, I mean, I guess that's part of what makes this story so great is because the lens is sharpened to only three characters, let's say, or four, you get these really rich, in-depth passages that make everybody feel alive. Sonny feels alive. Sonny feels like somebody I know and I can talk to. The mother feels like somebody I know. The bum feels like somebody I know, and the narrator, of course, also feels like somebody I know. And um, it's heart wrenching the whole way through. There's not a passage in here that isn't written with some kind of anguish. There's no line that you can turn to. You can't look. You can't point to a sentence in this piece that isn't about the anguish of being alive in 1950s Harlem or 1960s Harlem. You know, and I think when you do that, when you make your characters so real that they feel like people you know, I tell my students the way literature works is when you're writing about something really specific and you're writing about people that are really specific and human and complicated and interesting, paradoxically, the writing becomes universal and everybody can relate to it, and that's what's happened with this story. Uh, I think that it's every bit as rich as the Hemingway story that we read last week. Um, Even though it focuses on less characters, I think, but it's um, I don't know. It's so hard to talk about too. I mean,
Yeah.
because one thing I think Hemingway had on Baldwin, not to compare authors, is his ability,
Let's do it.
his knack for dialogue. But the one thing that Baldwin has over Hemingway is this unbelievable sincerity of voice, this delicate touch, his patience, and his ability to provide exposition and setting. Um, like listen to the first paragraph. I got it pulled up. I read about it in the paper in the subway on my way to work. I read it and I couldn't believe it, and I read it again. Then perhaps I just stared at it at the newsprint, spelling out his name, spelling out the story. I stared at the swinging lights in the subway car and in the faces and bodies of the people, and in my own face trapped in the darkness which roared outside. I mean, um,
Yeah, and it just keeps going from there,
it's just like you're on a train with this
The
fucking.
part I read was right after that.
You're on a train through this narrator. Like really, the story just exists in the narrator's head. That's where all this is happening. That's why you move in through flashback, and that's why you're moving in through um for traumatic past versus traumatic presence, and the two of those things are always button heads in this story.
Yeah, the way it's written is super modern. It kind of reminds me of how you went from Craig, how you used to write. You used to write real simple, straightforward Hemingway, and then you kind of got inside your own head. and like we're be able to like jump around and like kind of makes it more interesting in a way. If you're that kind of writer, I think the story could fall apart too if you fuck it up. But
it reads a lot more like
good
Faulkner,
point.
obviously, than it does Hemingway, because
Yeah.
it's experimental. He's, it's a special kind of ice. The part that you were talking about was a special kind of ice. And it kept melting, sending trickles of ice water up and down my veins, but it never got less. Sometimes it hardened and seemed to expand, so I felt my guts were going to come spilling out, or I was going to choke and scream. This would always be at some moment when I was remembering some specific thing Sonny had once said or done.
Well, comparing it to Faulkner, it's definitely more like tailored. It's more. Faulkner just feels like you were dropped into the mind of somebody you have no idea who they are, and you're just trying to figure it out. This one kind of does ease you in a little bit more. You feel a little bit more grounded, but
it's a lot more focused. But it's focused specifically on Sonny. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us to take, as a lesson. You're gonna write a story. The story's gonna be about one person, or it's gonna be about, if you're gonna write a poem, it's gonna be about one event, one person, two events, with one person. You're trying to deliver that character to the reader.
Or how about this? Don't fucking try to impose it. I get what you're saying, but like if you try to impose rules as you're writing, good luck. Good fucking luck. Dude, you sent me this video of Quentin Tarantino talking. Like
Right.
the whole idea was, oh yeah, how are you so good at writing? No, I'm getting the characters going. I'm not doing much. I'm just getting them going. But if I like say they need to do this, and I'm imposing it, and then that's just me fucking it up. Let the characters. In terms of poetry, though, it's like let the inertia of the poem dictate. I get what you're saying, though. Most of the times when you, I think it's when people try to get cute and try to make poems into like persona poems when it's artificial. Like very rarely do you get a persona poem that is sincere. There's Sharon Old. There's a few. There might be a few, but when you start imposing these like, but it can also go the other way. If you're like, oh, I have to write about one scene, one character. It has to be somebody I love in a very important moment. It's just like, god damn, man. That's just, trust me, I've tried so many times and failed doing that too.
Yeah. So I guess, it's both. It's the story. I mean, most stories are about two characters falling in love or two characters falling out of love. And the other lesson that you were pointing out is like not imposing anything on the piece. The piece is always going to be whatever it wants. I mean,
That's
really,
the bitch of writing, man.
though. We're like, all writing is at its purest form. The conscious brain trying to eavesdrop on the subconscious. What am I really afraid of? What's going on deep in the back recesses of my brain? What can I sneak in? And if I'm quiet and I'm patient enough, maybe the subconscious won't notice me. I can just bring these things to the living world. Then we can talk about them. But and so to your point, John, like who the fuck knows what you're gonna drag out of there, right? Sometimes it's gold and sometimes it's total dog shit. But I think that's the only way to go about it, you know. And I think that's what Tarantino meant. But I mean, if you look at any of his stories, and we can talk about Tarantino here for a second too. Okay, Reservoir Dogs. That's a story about Mr. White falling in love with Mr. Orange. A criminal falls in love with this young protege who just happens to be an undercover agent, right? And everything goes to shit. And a cop confesses to a criminal that he's an undercover cop because he's fallen in love by the end with Mr. White. Maybe that's overly reductive in a certain sense, but I think at the core of Reservoir Dogs, that's what you're talking about. We're talking about a love story between Mr. White and Mr. Orange. And this story, and by the way, not all love is,
I
um,
do like the idea of, like, keeping it simple for yourself and then letting it get complicated as it goes, you know? Like, it could get complicated. I mean, look at
Mm.
Faulkner, it gets real fucking complicated in writing.
But the
Um,
story is still simple. You like
yeah,
as I lay dying, it's about getting their mother to like
yeah,
figuring out how to make their mother go to a funeral, or set up a funeral this one day.
right, and,
I
like, one
mean,
of
if you
the image the haunting thing that when I remember that, and I read it, like, over 10 years ago, it's just the sound of the saw
yeah,
making the casket, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's simple. It's that simple
it's
sometimes.
it
That's the thing
really
that
is.
sticks with you.
So I was it's interesting because you guys both came from perspective of having like a family member on drugs, and that's how one of the ways you look at the story. But it was, for me, it was different. I felt like um it was all about like validated trajectories. um like I don't like this may be controversial, but I don't believe Sonny would have been an addict if his choice to be a jazz musician was sanctioned. I thought if it was, it didn't have the stigma it had. I think that if he was to be a jazz musician, and there would have been like programs or something in there to like streamline that process. I don't think he would. I think a lot of people did. The big difference between the two brothers is one brother went. He took the the route of having this noble job, old world type of occupation. What is the old world occupations? You could be a firefighter, police officer, a teacher. And he used to be a teacher. He was like this shaman of the neighborhood. And I think that he fell into that role, and plus juxtapose that with being an older brother, and like always being some kind of a mentor. And I think he kind of he stuck to that. I think he's a bit obsessed with thinking that was the right way. And I mean, and it's like all like signs, like he was in the military. So there's like this notion that he has to follow like some etched in trajectory for him to be successful, to be he's aware of the institutional racism, and he's aware of that he has two strikes against him because he's black, but he's also thinking like this is the way to do it. And then when his kid dies, he's just like, what the fuck, like
Right.
I didn't do it right. I thought I did it right. And
well,
and then Sonny is just like this innocent, beautiful, this uh, you know, this energy that's going through the world, not thinking, not even can't even tap into that whole.
He's an artist, man.
Yeah, he's an artist. He's
True
not even.
artist.
Yeah, and like, and I feel like people who are like that, because their paths are not validated, they tend to go to drugs. Maybe that's a simple, naive perspective, but I do think that if maybe I think a lot of these jazz musicians are ostracized. I think that it's hard for them to feel that they're doing things correct, and maybe the pressures, societal pressures, make them do drugs.
Mm.
I don't know. I just feel that to reduce this story down to addicts is what is the cause? Like, why, maybe he's an addict because he just didn't feel that he was doing it right.
You
Because
might
that
be
the
on.
whole Yeah, because the whole time I feel that his Sonny is just like, he reminds me of somebody who is ashamed, to like, not trying to reveal, like, if that you're hungry or something, like being somewhere, and like, being poor, uh or not having enough food, and going somewhere where there's a lot of food but not eating it because you don't want to put out that image that you're desperate. And I feel like every time any scene that he's in, he's like feeling around the environment, not trying to show his true self, like very contained, uh um around his sister, like, playing the piano, and it's like finally getting into a mode, and like feeling comfortable. Then they're saying, "Oh, it's too loud," and then he's like, "I don't know what to do." He's just he's like walking on eggshells everywhere, in
Right, right.
every situation. Um and I just see this innocent person, this trying to get through life, not understanding, not seeing that dynamic or the social, trajectory that his brother like freaking subscribed to full on. And then at the end of the story, it's like the reversal. The brother's in his world in the club, and he's like, why am I worried so much? Why I put so much effort into thinking I'm doing it right. And then like, in my haze of ignorance, I don't see my beautiful brother who is obviously has something, and I'm in his world now. So
he's validated. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful, and it actually ends on a very like a note of benevolence. He ends it where it's like he sees it. I think there's many of these stories that no one gets that validation. What are you doing? What are you gonna do with that? I don't know. I feel like this is like the perfect story for anybody. It's the perfect story for an English major. Perfect for anybody who has to explain themselves or feels like they have to. I mean, like every time, every moment in my life where I get to, especially in academia, where I have to make a choice about something, I feel like I have to go back to Sonny's Blues. Like right now, I'm deciding if I want to go to grad school, and I have people at work telling me, "Oh, you should do writing and rhetoric," but I'm like, my heart's not in writing and rhetoric. I don't give a shit if it's more attractive to the employer. I like literature.
Don't do it. Don't fucking do that shit, dude. I'll tell you right now. Have you taught that? No. Never mind. Let's not get sidetracked. I hate fucking composition and rhetoric. Suck my goddamn dick.
But I don't want to teach either. So I don't know what I want. But it was like it's like I feel like every time I get like any kind of decision I have in my life, I'm reminded of Sonny. I'm reminded of that choice where like I'm on eggshells, not knowing where to go, and like.
Well, I mean, that's the hell of life, isn't it? Is that you have to get out there and make a living.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't. I don't like money enough.
That's the big debate. Like,
I don't like money. I mean, I like money. Like I like that I can get a couple beers whenever I want one. I enjoy eating. I like air conditioner. That's my biggest like
gotta have it.
First world problem. But
Dan, you don't have to explain yourself to us, right? Me and John are the biggest bums you'll ever fucking meet. Right?
I mean, look how I'm dressed. All right, I'm
about
to go drive to Asheville just so I can give him a couple quarters.
Dude,
by the way, I'm running low, Craig. Yeah, need a beer.
But it's like I'm very simple. Like if I'm making good money, I buy a good beer. If I'm making shitty money, I drink bottom of the barrel beer. It doesn't matter. That's the way I look at life. But it's like I don't.
Is also that the narrator like has this prestigious job teaching out. Well, not really prestigious, but he has a stable job teaching algebra to high school.
Yeah,
but he still lives in the projects. You know?
But you don't understand. He lives in the projects, but he is like this wise man with a walking stick.
Well, he's a beacon.
He loves it. He fucking loves it. In the beginning, he meets the bum or meets Sonny's that demographic, the people that hang with Sonny. It sounds like, what do you want, young man? How could I help you? Become. This is what you need to do. He's really horny for that whole, that whatever that is, that people chase. That clout, I did it right, but then it all shits on him because his kid, comes to death, and then, but he thinks that, I really do believe that he thinks because he did it right, that that stuff can't happen to him, and it's just a reality check, like.
You guys, not to change the subject, you guys follow Rudolph Giuliani these days?
Why would I do that? Why would I ruin my mind with that person?
That's a good example. I know where you're going with this, Craig. I think that's a great example.
Well, he is the ultimate example of somebody who was the narrator, right? He went to the prestigious schools.
Yeah.
He became a lawyer. He got to the top of his field. Then he became a mayor. He was the mayor of New York during 9/11. He also was he was also the lawyer who prosecuted John Gotti. I mean, this guy was
he cleaned up New York from the mob. He took
he
it
was on
back
the
for the
top
people.
of the world. And then he got involved with Donald fucking Trump. And now he's like
A joke.
Does he have an OnlyFans at this point?
I mean, he's destroyed.
A Julie fans.
A
He's
Julie
fucking
fan.
destroyed his legacy.
No, I get no. That's a great example. You know, like you thought you had it all figured out. You thought you were immune to any grievance. You thought you're, he did. I just there was so when he talked to what Craig says, the bum or the addict on the street, the kid that's like on the streetwise guy. I thought that whole exchange was so fucking arrogant. Like I just thought he was so arrogant. He was like,
what about the moment when he's like, the guy's like almost reached for a pistol, and he's like, shit, I would have given it to you. And you're like, okay, and he has to like bring it back. He's like, all right, that's a little too far.
Yeah,
like
you have to consider he just found out that his brother was
right.
prison, and this guy comes around. I mean, you guys wouldn't blame him in parts for what happened to your brother.
Yeah, but he's too prideful. Like it's weird. He has to uphold this image, but he's too prideful to
Dude, my dad used to work at for a long time, worked at a strip club, and there was this guy there. He used to do mechanical work. This black dude, I forget his name. I think it was like Raji or something. But my 13-year-old brother, for whatever reason, was at the club like sweeping up. And Raji, who's like 27, 28, comes over and says, "Hey, Brandon, how's it going?" And they shake hands and everything. And my dad's like, "Why the fuck are you shaking hands with my kid? My kid's 13 years old." Raji's like, "Oh, I've known Brandon for years now." And I swear to God, from that day on, my dad was like, "If I ever see Raji again, I'm gonna beat him to fucking death. Don't ever bring him around here while I'm working."
He saw it, man. He saw it all fucking unfold right before his damn eyes.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's a hard thing to describe the resentment you have for somebody who's going through what Sonny was going through. Like, I don't think you would have treated him that way the day before the guy had come by. I don't think you'd have treated him like the pompousness was definitely there. To your point, Dan.
Yeah.
The pompousness was always going to be there because that's what people in those prestigious positions. That's just how they act and feel. It just is. You're an anomaly, all right? You're an anomaly because you're in that position too, but you've also been Sonny. You've also been a musician. You've also been the wild man, traveling the world. And so there's a dichotomy inside of Daniel Morales where you feel for both. But and I guess me and John are definitely we're more like the bum, honestly, than we are like Sonny. But
I like how you looked back at me when you said that.
John are more like the bum than Sonny, but we definitely now have those.
It's Asheville, man. He's not looking bummish, man. That's like you go to
Asheville.
Yeah, that's the way you dress in Asheville.
I'm about to go become professional.
Hit the club. Hit the club.
Hit the club,
Yeah. Wool cap on.
That's normal, man. That's trust. That's trust. I look at him. I see trust fund money or something. That's.
I know. Look at that beard. Do you have oil for that beard?
I'm definitely the bum. I don't know. To me, I understood why he was angry, and I understood why he didn't listen. Like he didn't get it when the bum told him. Like Sonny doesn't want to kill himself. That's what you're not getting from all this. Sonny wants to live. Heroin is part of him wanting to feel like he's alive. But the narrator just doesn't get that until the end. And that's why the story is so great, is because he learns two lessons. The first lesson he learns is that no matter what you do in this world, tragedy will find you. No matter how strong your position is in life, tragedy will always find you.
Right. That's what brings them together, too, is losing Gracie, his daughter.
The polio, man.
Yeah, the day she died, he wrote him, and that's like what set the impetus of the story, like him coming back and then reuniting.
Yes, And the other thing that he learns is that his brother isn't like the bum. His brother isn't this guy who's out there to beg for money, use people. His brother's capable of doing something that he isn't, and he's capable of understanding the pain of those. Like at the beginning of the story, he's like, for all I know, all these kids are going into the bathroom to shoot up. Maybe heroin does more for him than algebra ever could. It's like he doesn't know anything about his students. He doesn't know anything about the people around him. He doesn't know anything about pain, and Sonny does. And Sonny can render that pain and make it real.
Yeah.
That's like, to me. I mean, I read that fucking last part, and I just want to cry.
So I'm thinking of too, man.
It's
but you know what it is. I think that one of Sonny's brothers, like I think that one of his drawbacks is his inability to. He sees everything surface level, and that's a big thing with me in my life. I don't. I if you're gonna be into if you want respect from me, I don't care if you collect stamps. I don't care what you do, but you need to be passionate about what you do. Don't just like things on a surface level. Don't just be in the books and be into the New York Times bestseller. Don't watch TV and think the best singers are on American Idol. Just don't like I feel like everything he embodied was just what was told to him instead of like him
right.
digging deeper. And I felt like if there's a mentioning of, and I in my essay,
I disagree with that
completely. But it's like he
or Sonny. John's like, I disagree. I think Dan's
you're talking about Sonny, right?
No, he's talking about the narrator.
A narrator. I said
okay.
I thought the brother, not Sonny, but the brother. I feel like he has an inability to look at things at he looks at everything on a surface level. He has a surface understanding of everything. And it's very apparent when he talks about jazz musicians, because Sonny's into like Charlie Park, like into if you know a little, like I know a little bit about jazz, and he's into the abstract jazz guys that are trying new things. And Sonny's brother is like, oh yeah, I like jazz, I like this, but it was very like a whitewashed jazz. He was like, I know these jazz musicians, but it's not. Sonny was like, no, I like this. And what Sonny was liking was more of the modernistic jazz guys that were taking chances. But that, to him, he didn't see that as legitimate. I'm talking about Sonny's brother. He didn't see these guys that were taking chances, that were not popular, as being legitimate musicians. It was like, oh no, I like jazz, but it was like you could tell right there that Sonny's brother is not able to give respect to things that are, if it's not sanctioned by society, he just wants nothing to do with it. He has to get his job. It has to be validated by society as being a good job. He has to go to the military because he knows that if they get him in the military, like someone will say, "Oh, he's a military person. Forget he's black or whatever. He went to the military, so he's good." He likes to do all those things that are normal. Whereas like Sonny is an artist, he looks for authenticity. So that was one of the biggest things in that story for me. Whereas like he just couldn't understand. He couldn't understand that world. And I mean Sonny's brother. And he didn't understand until the end, where he felt for the first time in his life, he goes, I'm in a place right now that I don't know nothing about. I have the depth of artistry here is beyond me. I can't understand it. However, I see the way they're looking at my brother, and I have to respect it. And I'm wrong. I can't get it. I don't think he can get it, but I think he realized at that point that he is wrong.
Well, I think in that moment he gets it.
Yeah, I think he gets it at the end. But I think what he gets is that, I mean, to your point, Dan, I think what he gets is that he'll never understand it.
Yeah, it's of course, but you can still say this. Okay, there's two ways of going about it. Okay, I'll put this as an example for literature. There's people that I like are authors that I love. Okay, and I know there's some people, friends of mine, or people I know that they read the same book and they don't get it. I have a friend right now. He reads Raymond Carver and he's like, I just don't. What, the story just ended. I don't get it. And I was like, well, you got to look beyond the story. and he just says he feels like, what am I done? What am I understanding this? But he knows, but he like, there's either way, you could there's two ways to respond to that. You could say, well, this sucks. I don't want to deal with this. This is not good. And that's more of an ego thing. You're dismissing something because you don't understand it. But the second camp of thought is, listen, you could say, there's something going on here, and enough people I respect are getting it. So maybe the flaw is with me. Maybe I don't understand something, and I don't know what it is, but I realize that there's something here that's significant because people that I respect are into it. So I have to look further into it. I don't know what that shit is, but I want to, hopefully one day I will get it. And I feel like at the end of the story, that's Sonny's brother. He doesn't know what's going on in that club. He can't tell you what kind of jazz is being played. He doesn't know where the influences are flying from. But he goes. It's the first time he humbled himself and says, "No, I had it wrong. I don't know, but I know it is something legitimate because everyone's focusing in on my brother. Everyone here."
But here's what I think he kind of gets.
Everybody loves him the way I love him for some reason.
Yeah.
So I don't see it. I respect it, but I don't see it. But I'm gonna stay here anyway, which is it's such a I wish that epiphany could happen to everyone. Instead of but the usual epiphany, not epiphany. The usual reaction to that is, "Oh, fuck that! It's lame. It's weird."
Well, it doesn't happen to everybody in stories either. That's why this is one of the.
Oh yeah. So it almost begs the question: do you think Baldwin was a little too utopian with his ending? I think so.
You think that the brother kind of got too much more than he ever would have in real life, and
the story is perfect.
It's perfect, but it's perfect. But I believe that it's very rare.
I know what you're saying. I'm saying it's perfect. Like everything that happens in it.
Oh,
is
of course.
Perfect.
I want it to end like that, but does
the
reality want to end like that? No. Usually, the way Sonny was. It's he's ending it the way that he's saying finally his brother understands. But most of the time in life, you don't get that understanding.
Yeah, but it's a way lesser story if it ends after their conversation. Like,
no,
then he just goes back to being a heroin addict. He died. Like he probably still dies of an overdose.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But it's transcended.
No, I'm not, John. I'm not saying that I wanted to. I'm actually. This story gives me hope. Yeah, I wanted to, but I do. But the pessimistic in me says, is this a story that would usually happen? No, I don't think it can.
But this is a story to remind you to be optimistic. That's what I love about this shit.
It's wonderful. This is self-help. This is real self-help. Not that bullshit you buy in the store, how to meet friends and influence people, all that bullshit.
Yeah, no, this is your brother still gonna die, but he made great music.
Yeah. Or you don't have it all figured out,
I mean, it's to your point, John, it's like, imagine if your brother was Kurt Cobain or Jimi Hendrix or G.G. Allen or
no, hey, can I stop you for a second? Because I know where you're going with this. All right. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is how much he loved his brother, and he saw that other people could love him. But it doesn't change the fact that he loved him.
I think it does matter.
Even if his brother was the degenerate, he would have loved him the same.
Yeah, but maybe he would have, but it would have been a different story. It's the thing,
Fair.
Like if his brother was the bum, this narrator would have never fallen in love with him again. He would have never understood him again. He would have never understood why he chose that life. But his
I think there was some anger too. Like don't you even like? I felt like if there was another line of dialogue in that book or in that story, it would say, if there was implied dialogue, it would say, "Don't you even think that my brother is on the same stage as you are? Because you are nothing. Like you're a different kind of piece of shit. My brother's going through some stuff. He's not like you."
But he didn't understand that in the beginning. He only understands.
Oh no, I thought he understood that. That's why he was so distant with him. I think
he was angry at him because he was like a symptom of his brother's problem. He was like a representation of everything wrong with his brother.
He was also the example of like yes, you are in my brother's life. You are in that demographic of people, but don't you ever think that you are like my brother, because my brother is so much better than you. That's the way I feel. I don't.
I
I don't.
Maybe that's fair. Like
I mean, it's definitely
Jimi
possible.
Hendrix made music. I mean, you know this, Dan. His career lasted what, 3 years, and he made so much.
Yeah.
Janis Joplin made so much. Tupac's career lasted like 4 years, and he made 1,000 songs. I mean, these people come around every once in a while, and they're so passionate that that they won't be
Yeah.
around for very long. And maybe to some degree, that's the hallmark of all addicts, is that there's something in them that the world that we all live in isn't good enough. But
I feel like I feel like I'm hearing LaRocca talk right now a little bit.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. No,
Oh.
bring him
Yeah.
in. Come on, Craig. Let's go. I love it. I love it.
What time are we at? We're at 7, right? Yeah.
Craig, the reason I said that is because you made that great story about your brother shaking hands with that guy. And I really think that your dad was saying, hey, doesn't mean because you guys are in the same room right now, under the same dim lights, that you are the same person. And don't you even think that you're half the caliber of my son, because you're not. You're a piece of shit. All right? And I feel like that um that mentality that's the way Sonny's brother was talking to this bum guy, saying
Right.
like, no, he is. Yes, you guys come from the same circles right now, but don't you ever think that you guys are equal, because you're not in my eyes. I know my brother; he's better than that.
Yeah.
I that was very heartwarming to me, and I think that's very real. To especially when you know someone in the throngs of addiction, and you say, like, don't reduce my brother to this. I know him before this. You've come from this world, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He fell into this world. You are of this world.
The harshness definitely is born out of love, just straight up
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
Like,
And that was so, like, now that I think of it, that's very heartbreaking, um and very complicated, especially when you throw race in there. And it's like you're also, you're ambassador of your neighborhood, you're ambassador of your race. You're seeing your I'm sure I know his brother's looking at life as like, what's happening to my people? What is
Right.
happening to my people? Like, that's another layer of things. So he's like, but his, like, the problem with the story, not the problem, but like the biggest problem with his brother that leads up to his epiphany, it's like he's worried about society, he's worried about trajectory, he's worried about everything else, but knowing what his brother's actually saying.
Right.
Like, until the very end, where he actually, damn, I need to listen. For the first time in my life, I
Yeah.
wasn't listening. I'm on all these pedestals, about, what the problem is with our people, and how, what we have to do to organize. We need to, like, adopt the choices of, even if we hate white people, we have to adopt the choices that they do. We have to go join the military. We need to get these jobs that provide service, or you need to get these jobs that are sanctioned by the society, so for us to get a hold of it. And then, all through that whole
To your
craziness.
point, Dan, like maybe part of the revelation also is at the end he realizes, like, I'm not going to save the world. Algebra
Oh
is,
yeah.
if anything's going to save the world, it's going to be Sonny's music. It's not going to be algebra. And
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the other great thing about the story, I think, is this one of the great things about life, is that it's constantly teaching you new lessons. I think maybe to your point, he thought growing up, the narrator, I'm saying, he thought
Yeah.
that stability would save him,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he thought that if Sonny had that, it would save Sonny. But what he couldn't figure out until the very last page is that Sonny was never going to be stable, right? It's never going to happen, ever. Sonny would rather kill himself than be an algebra teacher, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the same thing you're going through right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Am I really gonna be a teacher? Am I really gonna You
No,
know,
I
do
don't want to.
like that.
I like my position out. But I think they were all like maybe not touching upon the effect of that Nessa's story with the mother. I think I want to kind of go, we should go into that too, because I think that at that point, that's like the pre-epiphany, where it's like, oh my God, my
Well,
dad is not the
got
person
it.
like that. My dad is not the person that I thought he was. He was a babbling mess of emotion, but he projected this bullshit
Yeah.
and
Can we just
okay.
talk about the writing? I mean,
Oh yeah, dude.
dude, when I sent that message last week about like I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get through this story, I forgot how that shit comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that
It's
was
just like the mom
blindsided. Yeah,
talking, and it's like not only is she telling the story about the truth about his dad and the dad's brother dying, but it's the last conversation he ever has with his mom.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
and the images are just devastating.
Dude, listen to this transition
It,
um
yes,
Yeah.
from dramatic
spirit.
present to dramatic past. Um
It makes
it's
my
right,
hair
it's
stand up.
right after Sonny meets everyone. And he goes and he starts talking about his mom. He starts talking about the kids in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Safe, my father grunted whenever Mama suggested trying to move to a neighborhood which might be safer for the children. Safe hell, ain't no place safe for kids nor nobody. He always
Damn. I
this,
forgot
but
about that.
he wasn't ever really as bad as he sounded. Not even on weekends when he got drunk. As a matter of fact, he was always on the lookout for something a little better. But he died before he found it. He died suddenly during a drunken weekend in the middle of the war when Sonny was 15. He and Sonny hadn't gone on too well, and this is partly because Sonny was the apple of his father's eye. It was also because he loved Sonny so much, and was frightened for him, and that he was always fighting him. It doesn't do any good to fight with Sonny. Sonny just moves back inside of himself where he can't be reached. But the principal reason that they never hit it off is that they were so much alike. Dad was big and rough and loud talking, just the opposite of Sonny. But they both had that same privacy. God damn, it's so good.
Yeah.
All the and then it goes on to reveal this is the last time I ever talked to my mom, so it's like it's all
Right.
this heavy shit. To go to comment on the way it's written in the transition, right before where you started, like he transitions on a word. You see that? I was dying
Yeah.
to hear my mama tell me he was safe. Or I was dying to hear him tell me he was safe, talking of
Yeah.
Sonny.
And then
Safe,
he goes,
dialogue,
oh,
dad, fuck safe, Ain't no place safe for kids or anybody. I mean, it's just like you could just tell that Baldwin or the narrator he's channeling, that word doesn't like it means something else to him. It's
well,
his
this
dad
is
saying
like
that.
what's going on in his head while this dinner is happening. You know, they're at the dinner and he's like watching Sonny and he's watching him interact.
Yeah, it's easy to forget the
And it's like
present
Sharon
scene.
Holmes, like my father talks to me from the dead just happened, his father's back in his head talking to him.
But
And then his
that
mom,
characterizes like the biggest thing you notice when you read the story is how well he characterizes people as they talk. And so like in scene, he's in his head thinking of all this dark ass shit, and that's coloring how he interacts with everybody and his brother especially.
Yeah. John, what
Fucking
did you
crazy.
I like the way you honed it on that word safe. Do you feel like the safe thing? I always associated with that. Now that you kind of brought it out, I felt that he's in terms of we do all these things that are safe. We try to make the right decisions or all that. Um, but it alludes to the brother, the way he got killed. His kid brother.
Yeah, just
oh,
having
That like,
fun, taking
he
a
was
piss.
taking a piss that was very random, and he just gets run over.
You should be safe.
Yeah, it's like why? Like he's just like what's the safe represents my brother. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Well,
It
that's
wasn't
why the
even
dad has that view of safe. Safe
yeah.
doesn't
Like what?
exist. When I
Like
thought I was
why?
the most
So
safe,
so maybe
we
he's
were.
like like, what? We're gonna move into the country so we can get some redneck to run over one of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it? It's not. What is safe? don't think anything's safe. So I'd rather be here with the gunshots than to be in the country. It's like it's not. We're not going up. It's not like social. Like you're not rising out of your circumstances. You know, you might be introducing more danger.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Good
a lot.
point,
It's a
man.
lot, dude. It's just so much.
It's perfect. Like the story is
Yeah,
perfect. You dig
yeah,
into any little thing, and there's like a
yeah,
bigger. It's intrinsic. It's tied through the whole
yeah.
story. And it's just
It's just I love the optimism. I think I want everyone to read this story, especially the people who don't think like this. You know, it's just one of those things where like it's the
look.
part of
I'm
me.
not an optimist. It reminds me to be optimistic about like the power of
Oh, of course.
art. Really, it's really an ars poetica. Like
Yeah.
you guys are describing two polar opposites. You're describing the white collar, or the traditional like road to happiness, family, good
Yeah.
job, good
Mhm.
member of society versus the artist. And the
Yeah.
artist is the fucking bum. The artist is the heroin addict. But they're also the true believer. They're the ones that do what they want. Like Sonny
Yes.
literally says that. What's the point of living unless you're going to do what you want? And that's why I'm going to become a musician. And in that moment, he's going up against the world. He's going up against his brother.
Yeah.
He might as well be the
The
world.
world. Yeah. Oh my
You
God.
know?
Yeah. Such a
And
beautiful
and
thing
at
to
the
say.
end, that's what makes it so beautiful. Like he transcends. He's validated. Let's just not say trans. I use that word too much.
You know.
He validates the
Yeah.
life of the artist. Even the
it-
heroin addict, even the person who
Yeah.
you know is
Yeah.
gonna fucking die. He let you see the light. He made you free for that moment that he was
Yeah.
playing music. And that's all that
Yeah.
fucking matters in the end of the
Yeah.
day.
It
It's all
really.
about that one moment.
And it doesn't matter if you do it on remember the part of the story where he's like I want to be a jazz musician. He's like, oh, okay, well you can go to this, you can go to Juilliard, or you can go to this school and learn to play with a classical an orchestra and all this stuff, and Sonny's like, no,
No, I'm going to the Lower East Side.
I want to be
I'm gonna
alone. I
hang
want
out.
to be in that club with the smoke and the bathroom doesn't work. I want to be
That's
that.
what Charlie Parker played. That's where I want
Yeah,
to be.
I want to be that. I don't want to be in the orchestra. And Sonny's brother could not understand that until he got there, and he goes, "Oh, okay." That's just to me saying, "Oh, you're not going to be a singer if you go to, you have to go and be an American Idol, or you need to do this, or it's I just if you're not passionate about anything, if you just live through life on the surface of every, of every endeavor that you have just to look good for society, then I don't want you in my fucking life. I don't.
Yeah,
I
fuck you.
don't. I just say you are polluting me. Okay, and it's like, and so that's why that's what I'm saying.
Whenever I go to like a I don't know, some kind of get together with, I don't know. I felt that way. Like I'm just gonna say that to people who displease me. You are polluting me, sir. I am leaving.
No, but I'm saying it's like one of those things where like what is the pinnacle like of success? To me, I'm having a conversation with my friends about studying about a story. Like it doesn't matter if it's on a stage. It doesn't matter if you get some accolades. It matters what's in this room right now. And that's why, and I think that at the end of the story, he realizes like it's not about the world, it's about this room right now, about this what's happening in this smoky ass club.
And even with that, he still recognizes the world's still out there, ready to jump on you like a tiger.
Mm-hmm.
It's still ready to get you, and you got to be ready for it.
Oh, of
Otherwise,
course.
you won't make it.
The beautiful thing about Baldwin is like no one's right.
Right.
He's not saying Sonny's right. He's not saying his brother's right. I think it's just what it is. That's the if he's gonna live a life like that, expect a heroin, expect prison, expect depression, non-validation, and and if you live the way I live, then expect to have a really a commoditized this predictable existence. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't get both. And that's the saddest thing. You really can't get both of that. It's either one or the other.
Hey, unless you're William Carlos Williams, right? Fucking doctor,
Mhm.
made it as an artist. This guy,
You know what? I'm not trying to be that optimistic. We're not no more success story. We don't need to be like, I was a doctor and I could make it.
That's the dream.
Is Craig there?
Yeah, Craig, where you at? Yeah, as we.
I thought was a doctor too, actually.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a piss.
All right.
So there are rarities.
I think you should. I really think that I should read Sonny's Blues every year. That's that reminder.
I mean, it's
a reminder to like not like right now. I'm thinking about grad school, but I'm also hearing in my ear that going for literature is not the right way to do it. But I know that, so I'm going to go for writing rhetoric and be with all these PR public relations assholes, so I could write really well, so I could talk for some rich
publisher there.
I could backpedal some fucking Republican out of something like he slept with his daughter's friend in a motel, and I gotta make it sound nice.
Isn't the point of the story though that there is no right way to do anything?
No, there's no right. That's the beauty of it. But you know how dangerous that shit is, Greg. Like for there's no right way. Like if you say that to somebody, I said it to a student yesterday. You think that this is the right path? Like this is this path that you're supposed to do. We were so obsessed with what is, you're going to be an engineer, go to engineering school. You want to be a lawyer, go to law school. And then you say English major or say anything like that, and they're like, well, what do you mean? You're going to be a teacher? You're going to be this? People don't like to have it freaks people out not to have a path that's direct.
Yeah. I mean, our school, I'm in a fucking nursing school, dude. I don't know if you walked around campus lately, but
yeah,
dude, the nursing
yeah,
over.
Of course, but you understand that that's people subscribing to a thing. They're not even thinking about nursing. They're not even thinking about help. It's not even about helping people. It's more like I'm going to get this job to get money, so I can get my bullshit house, to have my bullshit kids, to get my Tesla, and to sit around and be in car lines and then talk about whatever the hell at Costco, it's whatever's on sale at Costco that week.
Damn.
So I could be.
Sounds kind of nice, Tessie and a Costco membership, when you're an adjunct for like 10 years, man, that just sounds gold.
Sign me up, brother.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, dude, I get it, man.
We're all fortunate that our significant others are.
Oh my god.
As stable as they are.
Yeah, I married up, baby.
Hell yeah.
That's for
I'm looking over at Laura right now. She's just biting her fucking fist.
You found goodness in us. I told my wife. I said I was a dirty dog. I was a wet dog underneath the underpass, and you took me in, and I'm so grateful. Oh, yeah. I'm no good by. I said that's my whole. I'm no good by myself.
Hey, I got a relevant quote on our story. I ain't saying it to throw no flowers on myself, but I declare it keeps me from feeling too cast down to know I helped your father get safely through this world.
Yeah.
I just was like, by the time I read that last week, because it's been years, I was just in tears. I was like, God damn it, yeah, man.
No, I get it, man. That was a mother?
Yeah, it comes right after the scene with the brother.
It's pretty much that she's saying that, like, you know what? I might have not done it all correct, but I was able to do that. I was able to put out that image of your father. I didn't want to tarnish the image of your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we're talking about too. Just this narrator thinks that he knows it all.
Yeah.
But really, everyone around him understood Sonny better than he did. Everyone. The mom saw the addiction long before he did.
Yeah.
His wife gets along better with his brother than he did. I mean, there is this giant chasm between him and the rest of the world and understanding, like, what's going on with people, And that's the beauty of art, is that you have more empathy and you're able to understand human beings better. And Sonny. By the way, there's something we didn't talk about also, and it's how much Sonny changed after prison. By the way, because Sonny's way isn't perfect either. You know,
No, definitely not.
prison changed Sonny. Prison made him realize that being steadfast in his pursuits was going to have consequences. And um, and it made him want to reconcile with his brother as well.
Yeah.
And that letter, by the way, that Sonny wrote was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And tender. The whole piece is just really tender.
Tender, yeah.
And it's something that writers forget. It's something that writers forget all the time is the power of tenderness, the power of sincerity. Baldwin had brothers, and nobody's going to convince me for a second that he wasn't thinking of some specific brother when he was writing this whole piece.
It's a shame.
Go ahead.
It's a shame too, because that everybody becomes a writer and a poet because they have that in them, and it's kind of beaten out of you because usually it comes out really cringy when you're first starting out, and you get kind of beat out of you as you gain skill as a writer, and you just can't if anybody happens to be listening, if I ever upload this to YouTube, if anybody's ever is listening to this, you can't forget that. You cannot forget why you started doing this thing. It's because you had something to say, and it was more important than anything else in the world.
Why you had to do this thing.
And that's why how this story is written, man, to a T.
Yeah.
But the great thing is he has all the skill in the fucking world at the top of his game. It just is perfect.
You gotta realize too that I don't know if you all had the luxury of looking at YouTube to see some of his appearances in late night shows and whatever.
Oh yeah,
his interview. That dude. Okay, let me talk to you about if he was speech wise, he's probably the most orators some of the best, one of the best of all time. That dude doesn't even there's no when he speaks, he doesn't say or anything. He just talks. It's so clear. Which is a sign of his intellect. He speaks in a way that is uncanny. I haven't heard it since. This is
the way kind of like Christopher Hitchens almost, and his ability to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That man could just explain something. He knows what he's going to say. There's no hesitation. It's like his whatever that he's able to tap into some source that he's a free flowing intellect.
He just believes it, and he knows he's right. That's how he talks.
Yeah,
and like you said, super so intelligent and you need to know this. That's what he's saying.
But you gotta look at if you forget this is this is the base. You gotta remember. Okay, this is a gay man.
Oh yeah,
a black man.
In the 60s.
In the 60s, okay.
Talking to public white America.
Talking to public white America in a way, it's like the fact that he's just speaking so eloquently is like radical in itself, and so that's him talking. So at least with writing, he has time to stop. He could think about his words. That's what makes his writing is so amazing. I always I have this. What was that?
I like to speculate on how things are written a lot of the times because it's super interesting to me, and it's hard to believe this didn't just come out of him in one or two sittings, but obviously editing is a thing and whatever. No, but dude,
he don't need an editor. He don't need an editor. That person. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna take a note from Craig and take a quote from this is from his novel If Beale Street Could Talk. I put this on my profile for Goodreads. It's one of my favorite quotes. He says, "People make you pay for the way you look, which is also the way you think you look. And what time writes is a record of that collision." That,
That's
mic drop, mic drop.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I mean, and that's him thinking. Like I'm sure he would say he has the ability to say that in an interview with you know it's whatever talk show he's in the 70s. But he was too much. He was so dangerous. He's still dangerous.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, he is.
I went to
Don't give the YouTube channel of Sonny James Baldwin to your kid, man, unless they're ready for that shit. It's gonna
yeah.
change their
Oh my
life.
God. Yeah. What do you call it? Where is it? Uncle Tom's. Who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Fuck.
Harriet Beecher Stowe. When I went back to Connecticut during the pandemic. I went on like this literary tour, and I went to see Mark Twain's house, and I went to see Harriet Beecher Stowe's house. It was funny because I got the tour of her house, and like all these there's like plaques up with like praising Uncle Tom's Cabin, and then in the middle of all that is a quote from James Baldwin, and it's like pretty much saying that like I didn't like this fucking book. But it was so funny to me that it was like
They put it there
they put it there anyway because
James Baldwin's a motherfucking badass.
James Baldwin's a badass. So like they didn't care if it made this house look bad. Like he pretty much said like this is not an accurate representation of Black America, and if you believe that, then you might as well be a slave master yourself. There was like something like that. And it was like funny that they put that in there as like a rebuttal, like almost like an essay. Like they had a little rebuttal in there, and it was very cool. But that's James Baldwin. You can't mess with intellect. The man had it all.
Yeah,
he had it all. And I love the fact that he was even better than Malcolm X. He goes Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They wanted to sit around in the civil rights movement. They wanted to like make it. I'm not saying better, but like they had the optimism. He said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna move to France." He didn't care. He left.
he's an artist.
He's an artist, and he's just like, I don't care. Like I'm gonna move to France. I want to have my boyfriend, and I want to, be myself. I don't care. Like this is, you all could have it.
Look at this story. Like, what really matters at the end of the day is like who you love.
Yeah, of course.
And in this case, it's his brother. More than anything.
Yeah, it's just
family too. I guess
it's just. I think his brother had many hats, and he just, he was balancing many, plates at a time. Whatever he thought was the right thing to do, and then at the end, it was that one plate that he wasn't seeing. It's just how many times that you think you're right, and you realize at the end you're wrong.
Every time.
Like it's a very humbling notion.
Every time.
Yeah, it's just it definitely is, and that's one of the things if I was going to introduce James Baldwin to anybody, it would be Sonny's Blues, because I feel like if I put him in the direction of any of the other stories or his novels, that it would be a little too radical for them. It would be too heavy for them. Because he's not very accessible. He was very outspoken, and that could turn off people. But I don't think Sonny's Blues could really turn off somebody.
Well, I would hope not.
Well, I mean, it doesn't turn off. I don't. I would hope. Yeah, I think he wrote that. That's a story that to pull people to it's a good. It would be the perfect essay. It's like an argumentative essay. Like, what is the right path? Like,
Yeah.
I think people would read that story if you're really an introspective kind of person, and you read that story, you go, "Oh, okay, it's not what they tell you. Even if you play your cards right, you still might fold. You still might get out of the game." And it's just great. I mean, you're gonna. I mean, it applies. John, you're gonna be a parent soon, and you're gonna have people giving you advice and about the right way and what the wrong way, and then you're gonna realize that at the end of the day, it's all about how what you do. And you know what the thing is, if you're worried about being a good parent, if you're worried about that, you're already ahead of the curve, because it's really the parents who think they're fucking awesome. They're the ones that suck.
Or the ones that don't have any reflection.
Yeah, yeah. Like but
Such
if
as
you're,
the ones who raised me. I love my parents, but damn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like if you think that you're like your shit doesn't stink, and those are the ones they worry about. But if you sit there
Those
and
are the
go, oh,
worst, yeah.
I don't know if I did this right, if I'm like, what if I took her too too fast, maybe I did this wrong. It's like that's the fact that you're able to even go in that area is a sign that you're a good parent. So, what is the right way to be a parent? We don't know. Craig
Good,
doesn't know.
it's a good analogy for writing. Maybe there's a balancing act. You can't be like, oh, I know how to do it.
Oh no!
You
Oh
also can't lack the confidence to sit down and fucking do it. Like, oh, what if I make the wrong decision? Is this the right word? No, you can't write
yeah.
like that either.
There's
You
no
gotta
if
kind of like
you
go
go
with
by
the flow
if
and
you go
be
to by
reflective.
of course, if you go by a blueprint, I feel bad for you if you go by blueprint, because that's you're pretty much making you see your experiment. Well, you want to have an experiment in a sense. You want to just do it. A blend of there's certain things you have to know. You're gonna learn as you go, but there's certain things that I feel like 80% of it is stuff you bring to the table already.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter, we don't know what the hell she likes, but I'm not gonna try to make her a little punk rocker. That's the last thing I want to do.
Make
Me
her
and her
hate
mom.
it.
Yeah, like me and her mom have the views of the world, and they're strong. But I like if she, if she's into being a ballerina, we're going to ballerina practice all the time. If she wants to she's in the volleyball. We're volleyball people now. Whatever your kid wants to do, I'm not trying to make her me. That's a problem with some.
Nah, man, my kid's gonna be it's Sharon Olds, Lee Young Lee every day. You're gonna know this shit better than I do by the time you're 5.
You read the story and then you hold the books. You hold them
Rose,
like this.
page 50.
Yeah.
Recite.
Yeah, give her this book. Give her James
Right?
Baldwin.
Good luck with that, man. They're gonna feel like, ugh.
I want you to tell me what this Sonny's Blues was about. Make it 5 paragraphs, and it better be good.
My kid said the other day I heard this song she was playing. It was like some K-pop group, and in K-pop they kind of like copy a lot of styles. It's like a factory of music over there, and there was a rapper in the song that she likes that reminded me of another rapper, and I was like, oh, babe, this rapper is like, I want to show you this person's copying the style of this rapper, this hip hop artist. And you know what she said to me? She's like, we were on the way to school, and I was about to drop her off. She's like, oh, Dad, you could show me this. Just show me after you drop me off. And I was like,
You know what you
what?
sound like? You know what you sound like? You know the parents who like were raising kids who like Wu-Tang Clan? They're just taking old kung fu movies and funk, and remixing it. It's the same thing. Just go listen to that.
Yeah. And she's like, and she kind of burned me back. I was just like, yeah, I'll show you. She says, Daddy, yeah, show me. Yeah, when I'm not in the car. Pretty much saying like she didn't want to hear it. And I was like,
love it.
yeah. And I was like, oh, all right. I remember. I was like, I can't get mad at her because that was kind of brilliant.
You were listening to K-pop all day, like, what is it?
Yeah.
Where's the soul? Where's
Yeah,
the heart of
yeah.
it?
Like I was trying to, I was like, and part of me was like, oh, I'm gonna show her this part that this K-pop artist copied, and then she'll love this record, and she'll love this artist. But no, she's like, I don't want to hear that. You like it? That's the first sign it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what it is? It's like I'm just like whatever, man.
It's too late, man. I'm putting headphones on the womb, nothing but
Yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan, nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
On the
Tupac
belly.
Right.
on the belly, man.
That's cool.
She's gonna know no other music.
Yeah. That's so
It's
cool.
its own special form of abuse,
Yeah.
We'll
You
see.
know what was that? What was the show with Michael J. Fox when he was he was the conservative, and the parents were the hippies?
Oh, that was an old fucking show, man.
Yeah, it
That
was
was
what was that show? It was like the parents were like very, just progressive and everything else, and they were trying to make Michael J. Fox, but he ended up being like this biggest conservative ever. So it's like, is this a reminder? Like, don't try to make your kids a certain way because they're gonna rebel.
Family Ties, right? When that is?
No, is it Family Ties or yeah, it might have been Family Ties. Yeah,
Huh.
it might have been Family Ties. It's a little before my time. I'm gonna be 41, so I'm not sure how you guys are on the age spectrum over here.
Family Ties is about 6 years before my time, I think. I'm 35, so
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I'm the old person.
Yep.
Man.
Stephen and Elise Keaton, once 1960 radicals, now find themselves in the Reagan era America trying to raise a traditional
Yeah.
suburban family.
Reagan, yeah. 1985.
He's like a Reagan youth, man. He loves it. He's just like, Dad, that's not right. Like Reagan is trying to help us with our Social Security, like. And his parents are like these like desperate hippies. They're like, no, don't do that.
So maybe the key is to pretend to like K-pop.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There's
Hey,
this, you guys ever heard of the anime? Have you guys ever heard of the anime Inuyasha?
No.
Oh, it's this retarded anime.
Maybe.
There's this great robot chicken sketch where the father's trying to watch TV and the daughter's like, "Wait, Dad, you can watch it when I'm done with Inuyasha, all right?" And he plops down next to her and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I fucking love Inuyasha." And he starts dressing up like the anime characters, and he's always trying to get his daughter to watch it with her, and he's taking her to all the conventions and shit. She's like, "I don't ever want to fucking watch Inuyasha again." And she walks off, and the dad just kicks back on the couch. He's like, "Fine, I get to watch TV." If you ever want to get your kids out of something, try to get into it. Maybe that's why all of us are readers.
Right.
Oh,
It did have a certain allure, because
something new.
it was just like TV, video games. I mean, I still play video games.
Yeah, but like,
But they didn't like that. I was more rebelling against that lifestyle. Just fucking the vegetation lifestyle.
Yeah. Some part of us knew that we had to go out to change the world if we were going to survive. We had to go out and go to poetry readings, talk about poetry, and talk about fiction, talk about stories, and talk about great authors and philosophy, and argue politics and shit. Just do something totally radically different. Because I don't know, man. I feel like I'm between both Sonny and the narrator. Like,
What's going on? I missed that.
I'm just saying, I'm between Sonny and the narrator. I feel like maybe even thinking in those boxes is part of the problem.
That's the thing.
Most people probably see parts of Sonny in themselves and parts of the narrator in themselves.
Oh yeah, I do, for sure. I hate those parts of myself. It's like I it's as much as I think I'm such a,
And I hate to say, you guys both work at a school,
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to say,
I got a 9 to 5 myself.
we want to, defy the system, or don't seek go against any kind of notion that maybe that was like uh of our parents or whatever. But I still want to get my parents' approval of all the craziest thing. It's like it baffles me that how much I any decision in life, I have to say, "Is okay." I think we all have that.
Well, you also want your wife's approval. You know?
Oh yeah, that does play a difference, and it's a
Like,
complicated
man,
thing.
I would love to go out camping and hunting,
There,
living the
there's a
Hemingway lifestyle. Like, go hunt fucking
No, Leo
cougars.
ain't doing that shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
not to
Lily ain't sleeping in no fucking sleeping tent, dude.
I don't know if you guys read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison.
I own it.
Uh,
I need to read.
it's so beautiful. There's a scene in there where one of the characters, like his mom or his parents die. His mom, he was raised by his mother, and then the grandmother dies, the mother dies, and he has this epiphany that he goes, no one's watching me anymore, so I'm gonna do whatever I want, and he ends up being like this kind of a criminal. Um,
Damn.
but it was like, but it really struck. It really hit me hard because I think there's part of me that I dampened my personality because my parents are still alive. Or I have to answer to some kind of like um, authority with them or validation. And so like it was, if I didn't have that, would I be a different person? Would I conduct myself differently? I think about that, I get, the character that going to that ends up like he got into he just didn't care if he went to jail or not because he hadn't had to answer nobody. But it was like a little bit like a freedom for him too, because he was like always under the guidance of this person. He's like saying, "Screw it, I'm gonna do whatever I want." And
That's definitely a big
what would
theme,
you do? You know, like
course.
what would you do if you had nobody to answer to? No wife, no
yeah,
kids, no
yeah,
parents, no.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and it's like you think about that, and there's people out there that don't haven't had to answer to anybody. And maybe in a way, maybe I'm a little jealous of their freedom. But also I'm happy that like I see my cousins in Puerto Rico. They have like 4 kids and different women, and it's like they just had no. Some of them didn't have supervision, and just did whatever they want. And I was like, and I had like 2 moms growing up in a sense. My sister was so much older, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm grateful for that, but also like I wonder like what would it came of me if I didn't have all that supervision? Would I have followed the footsteps of my cousins, or been like a different kind of person? I don't know. But it's one of those things I think about, especially in that story. The Bluest Eye is wonderful. I read that in Palm Beach State, man.
Really?
Give it up to Palm Beach State for having crazy
who
required reading.
who gave it? Who gave it to you there?
I had it. No, it was an adjunct professor that gave it to me.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, she's like,
Wow.
I'm wild, baby. Just trying to contain me.
I might not be alive next semester. Let's go.
I don't have an office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an office.
We mean the cafeteria, please.
Yeah. Like,
I don't.
yeah, like I'm wild. You can't contain me. She had a sweet like. Yeah, I was so surprised. I actually look when Toni Morrison died, I messaged her because she used to tell us like if Toni Morrison dies, I'm gonna take a week off.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna let you know that right now. She's getting old, so if you don't see me for a week, you know that happened. Yeah.
But she did die.
She did die, and I was like, "Hey, I remember you telling me that. I just want to see how you're doing." She's like, "Oh, thanks for messaging me. It's really hard."
I wish you knew Mary Galvin, man, because Mary did know about Toni Morrison better.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
Jamaica Kincaid's still kicking around. If you're in
Isn't that crazy?
yeah. And Philip Roth actually just passed too in 2018, I think.
I went looking for his house.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Where? Where is his house?
I went to Connecticut. Yeah, he had a house, kind of a beautiful house. But I was like, and part of me was like,
Did you find it?
Well, I was in the same town, but I was like, you know what? I don't know who's in there now, and that's all I need.
Dude.
I don't have a rental car, and the way I look, I don't need to. I don't need to be Sonny.
Yeah.
Hey. It's weird that we do that kind of thing.
You should have knocked on the door.
Yeah, you should have. That would have been. I should
Next
go
time we
find
need to go.
Thomas Wolfe's house, Craig. He grew up
Yeah.
in Asheville. All that shit is in all those
I
stories
know,
are
I
based
saw-
on
I saw
Asheville.
the-
Wow.
I've been to his grave.
I went to the
That's
ones
not-
that were official, like Mark Twain, and I
Oh.
actually. Who else was in there?
Yeah, Laura's like, we've been to. I actually did go to this house.
Oh,
I forgot. It's just like a museum, though. It's not like
yeah. I didn't. It actually closed. I went to the Harry Beecher Stowe one. Who's the one that there's another one I went to. I can't. I went to a lot of bookstores and things like that. It's just beautiful in New England. But yeah, he lived in a very expensive kind of old neighborhood. I'm talking about Philip Roth. I'm sure he had a house in New York as well. But
Live totally alone, man.
yeah.
Totally fucking alone. It's fucking bizarre.
There you go. Nobody looking out for nobody like
Yeah,
not
nobody
living
watched-
not on under the thumb of nobody, right? Like he wrote that story. Sabbath Theaters.
Well,
basically
the
that.
funny thing we joke about, like he had a little shack, like a house, like a mother-in-law suite in the back of his house, and it was like his writing room. So that's where he wrote like a lot of his stories. I mean, still, I would assume because he purchased a house in the '70s, paid like nothing. It's worth a lot of money now, obviously. But he wrote a lot of his stories in that little back house. I was like joking about Craig's gonna break into that little house.
You're gonna go find him typing away on Philip Roth's typewriter.
It's still
there's
here.
no ribbon in this thing. God damn it!
I can feel the essence.
That was the
It
best
worked
paragraph
for
I ever wrote.
when she went to Emily Dickinson's house.
That's
She got
cool.
some cool poems.
Yeah, she goes to her house, Sharon Olds, and just slithers underneath the bed and just lays there under the bed.
Wow.
And then
That's
writes
hot.
the best poem she's ever written. My
That's
father
hot.
speaks
It's
to me from the
that's,
dead.
that's what I'm talking about.
But that one was written after she'd come back from the beach in the
Oh
sand.
shit! No, I'm conflating two stories.
Yeah. Both have to do with bed, so right about
Yeah.
that.
The Emily Dickinson one is more recent.
Did she live in
Ocean Vuong.
that? Is that like did she live in the attic? Or she had a house. Is that
Emily Dickinson?
yeah?
She
That's
had
what
a
she
house.
I thought she maybe that meant when she was growing up she lived in the attic.
It's possible. She was somebody else who lived alone, by the way. I guess it happens to a lot of writers, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially a lot of women.
not, not us, I guess. Damn.
I don't know how the hell it didn't happen to me.
I know you did everything. You did everything,
know.
Craig.
Pushed everyone
You're a
away.
true believer. God damn it! Took no shit from nobody.
I'm no good about
Never
myself.
shaved.
Yeah,
I freaking I don't think I lived by myself ever. I always had a girlfriend. I don't know. It's just it's not my DNA.
yeah, definitely is.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
We have to fight to keep women off fucking Dan.
No.
That's really what it is, right?
No, dude, I have no. I have my game is no game. I have no game. I say the wrong thing all the time.
Yeah, that is a game. That's your game.
Yeah.
That's a game.
Definitely
I have no.
It's the best game,
Work for all
actually.
of us, alrighty?
Yeah, be sincere,
Alright.
be yourself. You just happen to be awesome,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I just it never worked. It does work. I don't know when it works, but I was never a promiscuous fellow. But some there's always that one who felt bad for me.
I just use pity. Pity always seems to fucking work. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go eat dinner. Fucking
All right, man.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna eat too. I got some. I got. What was that?
Next time, Dostoevsky, John.
Okay, you
Dive
better.
into the shit.
You better start reading it right now, John.
Now I'm gonna read it the day of. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's gonna take you like freaking.
I'll be reading it while we're talking.
40
about
hours. Yeah, it's a good one. Trust me.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. I love me some Dostoevsky. So
Yeah. Well,
I'll send it right now.
All right.
you sent it to me already, right, Craig?
I don't know, but I'll send it to both you and
You transcribed this thing, dude? How many
Yeah.
words are we talking here? Like 35,000?
35 fucking pages worth. All I really had to do was reformat a bunch of stuff. I didn't really have to type it all up.
Okay.
Sometimes I do though. Sometimes I do type. Like I typed up this one by John O'Hara called "Bucket of Blood," which we're gonna read at some point. It's also great.
Yeah.
But this one I just had to reformat because it was a PDF.
Yeah, that's
It's
still
cool.
a bitch.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank
Sometimes
you.
it's more annoying, honestly.
Yeah, you know, that's more of a motivation to read it because you go through much trouble putting it out there. I do appreciate that.
And I got that. I actually got that short story by Tolstoy that you mentioned, "The Death of Ilian Finch."
Oh yeah,
Ivan Illich. Yeah. Death of
Illich.
Ivan Illich.
We'll do that in a little while too. But before all that,
before I think we need to get a poem in there. I feel like
yeah,
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna do Dostoevsky, Tolstoy's got to be like, let's next year. You know, let's do next year.
Tolstoy is like that's supposed to be the first novella ever.
Honestly, though, I'm looking forward to reading that because, like I told you guys, it's been a while. When I read it, it was when I first met Craig. Basically, I was in Braylick's class, and I don't know how much I got out of it. Like, I still liked it, but it was just, I don't know.
That's not that's a nice pair up with Sonny's Blues in a way, because it has to do with like thinking that you had the right path, but you don't. And the path and plus the path he took is worth it.
The guy thinks that he understands.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think that's a lot of life and a lot of fiction. It's thinking that you know what's right and being proven wrong.
But it's something about the nasty story that really hits me. I'm so happy because it's like this one of those things where somebody, especially like a pompous ass, bourgeois, this factory owner thinks they tries to appeal to the lower class. It's like a politician gets his ass handed to him, and it's this, that's I hate all politicians, so that story resonates well with me.
Cheers to that.
It's like it's a great story about a politician like fucking up and like this trying to do something cool and thinking it's gonna work out, but then it doesn't work out.
You guys want to do this every week or every other week?
Well, whatever. I mean, I think we should give some time to, I don't want to like feel like we have to like homework where, we're like struggling. It's a hassle to read a story. I'd rather if we have time to read it, it's gonna if we read it, it's gonna garner a better conversation. But if we're forced to read something,
I like the idea of like giving time though, like 2 weeks.
So every other week, and that way, if we keep it on this schedule, I could talk till basically whenever because Leal's at work until 8, so and she doesn't get until 9, so we're golden. Last time, Leal's like
she was hounding over you, saying, "When we're gonna eat?"
Kicking the door and telling me we're going to Pizza Rustico Italia. If you don't wrap this fucker up.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, at the beginning of that, Finn. I was talking to Finn. I was like, "Oh shit, he's doing a podcast with Finn around. This is it's gonna be like 20 seconds."
But that was a Friday too, Craig.
Huh?
That was a Friday.
She has an alternating schedule. So
okay.
On this week she's working. On next week she won't be working. So if we take it 2 weeks, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, okay, then just do that. I'm perfect, dude. After working out, especially this semester, like working these long days, it's really refreshing that talking about a story after. I'm literally after like talking after, like I'm shutting off Zoom, putting this on, so it works out for me.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's do that. And I don't want to. Like definitely put some more.
Do you have like a day off though, like
Sundays?
Or do you
Sundays?
All right.
Yeah, we want to be with family then, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You want to be with your wife and your kid though on Sunday, bro.
Yeah, on Sundays. I reserve that for like the family more so, and but sometimes I DJ at night on Sunday. Like this Sunday, I'm DJing at night. So
okay,
all right, cool. Fridays it is then.
Fridays works well. For me.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you.
Take it. Hey, let me know when you upload these things so I could Took a hit or
Yeah, I meant to apologize because I've been meaning to just queue them all up. We have like 11 or 12 now that I need to
Yeah.
put up. So I stopped doing it for a little while. I actually meant to talk to Craig about it because we did a podcast on La Rock, and I'm like, should we really put this up? I don't think it's I don't really think it's a
No,
problem. But
don't put that one up.
no, you serious?
Well, I'll re-listen to it and
It'll be the lost episode. I don't know. Yeah, I've been meaning to re-listen to it, but I'm like, I'm not gonna re-listen to it.
it's a Patreon.
It's a Patreon only episode.
Patreon.
You want to hear some shit?
Yeah.
Subscribe.
That was a good.
It was fun though. We were talking.
It was one of our best ones.
stories.
So
yeah,
if this ever gets popular, everybody's gonna be like, "Where the fuck is this?"
Know what we're talking about.
Well, that's the real reason. Like, it's I don't know. We're talking about unpublished work. I don't know. It's weird. We could talk about it more later, but I'll let y'all go.
All right, man. I gotta get dinner.
Take it easy, everyone.
Later.